Hey, what's up everybody? Broman here, got another video for you. This time flying out the P-51D30. Got a pretty good match here that I wanted to share. It kind of showcases some, or I guess a specific tactic that I've started using. I'm actually still trying to figure out what I think about it. It seems really powerful in the P-51D30, but this is really only the second match that I've flown where I've been able to use it at all. And so I'm still kind of figuring out exactly what I can do with it, but I figured maybe I could share it with you guys, just show you kind of the success I've had with it so far. And basically what it is if you've watched my last video where I was talking about in the P-47 using the high-speed spiral climb maneuver against an opponent. Basically, this is more or less the same thing, but I use it pretty much exclusively in this match, and it makes me pretty much untouchable against these Yaks, which is something, you know, if someone would have suggested, you know, fighting in the vertical against Yaks in like these sort of I mean, they're not really. I mean, you do get really low speed when you use the maneuver, so you know it is more or less a low speed maneuver against Yaks. And I'm flying the P-51. If you would have suggested to me that this would work, basically everything I would compare that to everything that I've heard, and would not believe you at all, because everything you ever hear about flying the P-51 is stay fast, don't turn with Yaks, don't try to stall fight Yaks. You know, this is sort of counterintuitive, but it actually works, and I think it does because it puts a lot of emphasis on the high-speed energy retention of the P-51, and which is excellent compared to, especially to Yaks. Well, I guess not especially to Yaks, because they're not bad either, but the P-51 does have an exceptionally good high-speed energy retention. So basically, you're seeing it right now in action. This is the maneuver I'm talking about, and you can see, like, look at this. There, I have a mess of Yaks now that are directly below me that I have complete control over. I can pick and choose which ones I want to go to. Now, the weakness here is that the low speed handling of the P-51 is abysmal. So you have to really get it set up and timed so that you're able to pick up enough speed coming out of the maneuver that you can maneuver enough to hit the targets below you. So the bonus or the benefit to the maneuver, what makes it so strong, is that it is a style of energy fighting, which compared to all other styles that I've tried to use in the P-51, which require putting yourself in an incredibly risky situation, this maneuver seems to really minimize that risk, because for example, one of the older maneuvers that I would try to use, or a maneuver that I would try to use before or now, would include basically me just you know, booming and zooming, and then coming out of the zoom trying to climb up above my opponent and get them to stall out below me. But what happens is you're just climbing more or less straight up in the air, and when you start to lose speed, it doesn't matter how much more energy you have over your opponent, if you basically stop in mid-air, when you stall out, they have a really easy time hitting you. But this maneuver, because it has sort of a horizontal component to it, it really makes you a lot harder to hit, and it really minimizes that risk associated with trying to set up opponents with these sort of rope-a-dope stall fighting attacks. But, you know, as I said, and you'll really see it here, the low speed handling of the P-51. Right here I'm holding left aileron, and I just cannot get the P-51 to roll. And because of that, I don't get the opportunity to capitalize on my stalled out opponents. But you know, I, it worked nonetheless. I mean, I'm able to position myself, especially once I get the timing down and I get everything figured out. It really helps to basically, it gives me a tool that I can use against these planes that I before had no idea I had access to. So, and you're going to see this throughout the rest of the match, pretty much. Me just using this sort of high-speed spiral climb maneuver. The real key to the maneuver is you maintain a high speed while you're turning, right? Even if there's no, if you notice my altitude here, I'm not really climbing so much. It's just my turn. As long as I know that they're having to climb up to me, right? I'm above them, so I don't have to climb. But they're having to climb up to me because they start off below me, and then once they get within, you know, anywhere from 0.6 to like 0.8 kilometers, as soon as they get within that range, I really yank on the stick, and I start to once I notice that they can't pull lead on me in the horizontal, that's when I sort of roll a little bit and turn it into more of a climb, and then they have no chance whatsoever of following me. And there I was able to set up an attack where I'm actually able to get hits. Unfortunately, the snapshot was just too short, and I wasn't able to seal the deal. I was able to get a solid fuel, or I can't tell if that's fuel or a coolant leak. But I did some damage, even if it's not fatal. And so you can see that the maneuver is, it's a viable maneuver, it seems. I'm going to do it again here. I'm just doing this over and over again, and these guys keep falling for it. They just, every time I try to do this, they follow me, and they fail to pull lead on me. So I've managed to, I guess because of the damage I did to the Yak 3, and there was another one that I gave an oil leak to, the 2 Yak 3s are out, and then the other Yak 9, not this one, but the other one that was here, he dives out either because he's out of fuel or out of ammo, or both, or maybe he just is tired of, you know, following me and wants to drag the fight a little lower. So I'm down now. What was a 1v4 or 1v5 is now just a 1v1. And unfortunately, you'll see here, my aiming isn't the best here. This is kind of embarrassing because this guy actually does a pretty good job of throwing me for a loop here, using his roll rate and his maneuverability to stay out of my gun sights. I finally get a hit on him there, but you know, it's just a quick snapshot, and with 50 cals, that's not really enough to do any sort of lethal or critical damage even. So, but I am flying more aggressive with this Yak 9 than I otherwise would, but that's because I understand that if I get into any kind of trouble with this Yak 9, I can just, you know, open up the throttle, level out, and accelerate away from him. There's no way a Yak 9, especially up at 5 kilometers, is going to be able to keep up with the P-51. So here we go. I get him back on my 6 o'clock, and I just immediately go right back into this spiral climb maneuver, keeping my speed high. He gets really close there, and that's when I start to really yank on the stick, and he has no chance in hell of following it. But the difficult part is getting it timed so that as I come out of the maneuver, I have a short enough window of opportunity, or I guess the enemy doesn't have a long enough window of opportunity to regain speed and pick up some maneuverability. You can see there I just hung in the air way too long. However, if I would have been a better shot here, well, actually no, not there. There is one instance coming up where I end up missing a shot that I should have made. There I just wasn't able to maneuver enough, which had partly to do with my low speed, but also the fact that the Yak 9 was able to build up some speed coming out of that maneuver. So, but here we go, back into the spiral climb. Let's see what happens. My speed is still pretty high. I start to tighten it up a little bit here. He's getting closer to me, really tighten it up, and as soon as I notice he can't follow my turn, roll up, get that nose up in the air. That's the most important part, is getting your nose up in the air so that you can turn it into more of a climb that you can transition down into a dive with your opponent directly above you. You have to get that nose up in the air so that when you run out of speed, you sort of tumble down straight down, and it sort of helps you transition quicker. But here we go. The speeds are getting a little bit low here, and I'm trying foolishly to try to maneuver with this Yak at low speeds, and it's not working. But I also know that as long as he's in front of me, he can't do anything. And if at any point he does end up getting on my 6 o'clock, I can always maneuver. I mean, I can always level out and just outrun him and reset the fight. So I really have no problems trying to stick to this Yak 9T as long as I don't throw away too much energy, too much altitude. But I'm not really having any success with it, so I figure time to abort that and maybe try to get him to set himself up for me. So I break off, he turns back, and instead of going for the attack, I let him fly underneath me, get my position above him so that maybe I can start booming and zooming. I lose track of him for a little bit though, and notice that as I find him again that he's climbing up at me, which is, you know, it's not bad. I didn't really put myself in a dangerous position, but I don't have any, because of that climb now, he's sort of mitigated any chance of me having a counterattack opportunity. So I know up to this point, if you're still with me, this might not have been the most entertaining videos to watch, because I don't have any kills yet, and there was this long segment here of me just failing relentlessly against this Yak 9. But I promise you, if you stick around here for just a little bit, you'll start to see me figure this out, and I'll start scoring some kills here. But at the moment, I am waiting to basically figure out where the rest of the team is. That Yak 9 dives away, and I don't really want to chase him because there's still 4 or 5 enemies unaccounted for. I don't really know where they are. I know that there's that one Yak 3 in front of me at B, and I spotted earlier a Yak 3 taking off from A, which is behind me. There's still another Yak 9 somewhere, and a third Yak 3 somewhere. So I don't want to dive down chasing that Yak 9 only to find a Yak 3 above me able to dive down on me. So I'm kind of just loitering up here, shadowing this Yak 3 because he's the one target I have spotted, letting the team sort of climb up so that they get enough altitude that they might feel confident attacking me, which is that I'm sort of instilling a false sense of confidence in them, which is more how I like to play as opposed to just aggressively booming and zooming, or running into head-ons or anything like that. The Yaks in front of me there, you notice, does a split S, so he puts himself underneath me, and I decide he's not low enough that I would have to throw away too much altitude to get to him, so I decide to press an attack here. But I also go into this knowing that he's probably not just going to give me a free kill, and I don't want to throw away too much energy getting down, trying to score the kill with all of the enemies unaccounted for. So as soon as I see him sort of break, I'm like, okay, whatever, let him go. I got him to throw away some energy there, so it's more or less just kind of a whack-a-mole strategy there. Just keep him down so that he can't sneak up on me later on. It keeps him out of the fight for a little bit longer, I suppose, in case someone else shows up that I can engage. Like this Yak 9, for example. He comes at me more or less at the same altitude, but I'm fairly confident that I have much more speed than he does coming out of that dive against the Yak 3, so I go into the high-speed merge, and then go into a climb. I notice, however, that he decides to do sort of like an Immelman maneuver or a vertical U-turn, which slows him down significantly and he basically makes a huge mistake here and puts himself in a position where I can easily get a shot in on him. And there we go. I get my first kill finally. 25 minutes into the freaking game, and I finally get a kill. But that's the kind of patience you need when when you fly these American planes, especially when you're fighting 1v4, 1v5. But he's out of the match, and now I've got to deal with these Yak 3s. So I decide that my next target is going to be that higher Yak 3 there, the one that you can see off on the left side of the screen. He's coming in for an attack, so I go for a really steep angle merge here with him. Not exactly a head-on merge, but it's way off to the side, which forces him to have to turn to follow me. I'm keeping my speed high. He's having to pull really hard on his stick to pull lead on me. He gets close, and I really yank on the stick, which makes it so that he can't follow me. Now I've got to be careful of this other Yak 3, because if I stall out at the wrong time, that this Yak 3, the second Yak 3, could climb up at me and pluck me out of the sky. That would definitely not be the optimal thing to do. So I switch targets back to this Yak 3, and surprisingly, he actually starts to run away from me. That's actually a really good tactic in this case, because if you ever, for future reference, if you ever find yourself in a situation that these Yak 3s are in, where you have one, I guess, quote-unquote, boom and zoom plane flying above you, and you have multiple teammates, one thing you can do is sort of separate yourself from your other teammates, because for one, that makes it a lot harder for your opponent to track all of you, and it also makes it so that you're not all going to be in a position where he can choose which one of you he wants to attack, right? If you're all directly underneath your opponent, he has free reign to just pick whichever one of you he wants to attack. So if you sort of separate, it lets you sort of side climb, more or less, get some energy that will allow you to maybe come back into the fight later and surprise your opponent. But here I go, back into this high-speed climb, circle climb, I guess, spiral climb. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. I don't even know if it has a name already. It may very well have a name for the maneuver. I just started using this, so I don't know really what to call it, or what it may be called. But anyways, I try it out again. Seems to work. I've got two targets here now. I noticed that closer Yak, though, was probably going to be in a position that I couldn't really pull lead on him, so I switched to this other Yak 3, and unfortunately for him, he sort of stalled himself out here. He's going incredibly slow, and I'm able to pull easy lead on him and get the nice easy kill there. He just lost track of his energy, I guess, and just ended up making a critical error there. So there's another kill. Down to this final Yak 3 now. I just have him left here in the immediate vicinity, so I have to try to get him to make a mistake. I go back into this spiral climb, and he has no chance in hell of following it, but instead of following me, he decides to turn off and go in the opposite direction, which would have been a smart decision, but he decided to continue his turn here coming out of that, and if I was a better shot, this guy would be dead right now. If I was able to, I mean, I should have had the kill right there, but my aim was just not where it needed to be, so he gets lucky and ends up surviving that. But the main point is I'm able to basically maintain an offensive position, and I'm not really putting myself in any kind of risk, which I think is the biggest bonus to this maneuver. You're able to maintain this offensive position, and you're able to set yourself up for attacks without having to put yourself in any real threat, as long as you do it correctly. So the Yak 3 was running away from me there. I decided I didn't want to chase him, and rather I wanted him to attack me, right? Which sounds kind of counterintuitive, but you know, if he's attacking me, I can set him up. That's how you get them to make mistakes. You sort of instill them with this false sense of confidence, where they think, oh, I can maybe attack this guy here. I'm gonna pull some aggressive maneuver, but as long as you're able to estimate energy levels sufficiently, you can do like this right here, and sort of managing your energy in a way that you end up encouraging the opponent to set themselves up for an easy kill, right? That wasn't really me. That wasn't really me putting myself in position to attack him so much as it was me encouraging him to put himself in a position that I could attack him, if that makes any sense. I don't know. Maybe that makes no sense at all. Anyways, there we go. That's pretty much all I think I'm going to show you for this video. I get a one more kill on a fighter, which is really just basic boom and zoom stuff, and for the sake of time I'm going to cut the video off here, but let me know what you guys think. Sorry if I kind of rambled on and babbled a little too much. I don't really have a whole lot of time to really do any hard editing on these videos with the semester running down and all this and that, so I hope you'll forgive me if, like right now, for instance, me just rambling on. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you still have any questions about this. Hopefully I was able to explain it sufficiently. If not, though, please feel free to ask in the comments down below. I will catch you guys in the next one.